All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. For those of you in the back, if you guys want to come to the front and fill in some of these lovely seats as well, feel free to. If you need to use the bathroom in the middle of this, I won't be upset. If you need to get a drink, you can get that as well. So at the very end of this, we will take 5 questions, and there's approximately 5,000 slides. I'm kidding. So if you're following along on the social media of the world, hashtag SSCA, be very careful of your autocorrect on that. Make sure that SSCA is what you're doing. And then also, no whale hunting, which we will go into a little bit later. So thank you guys so much for being here for the inaugural State of the Startup Community Address in this absolutely beautiful building of the Slover Library that's been open for approximately 10 days. So this event couldn't be possible without our awesome partners, Dominion Enterprises, which a number of them are sitting here. They're an amazing company in town, a company that I personally love, and I don't think our area really gives them the credit that they deserve. And I think there's an opportunity for us to really embrace what they're doing. And they have so many different companies under them that are doing some awesome stuff. I haven't checked them out yet. Check them out at dominionenterprises.com. Is that a little better? All right, cool. We'll see how long I stay at the podium, because those of you that know me know I don't like podiums. All right, so why are we here? This is a very honest story. Several years ago, I moved here, approximately 7 years ago, and it was going to be an area that I lived in for a year, and then I was going to move somewhere else. And then I met a girl, and I stayed here for her, and now I love the area. But, and she's over here, I'm not going to embarrass her. She doesn't have to stand up or anything. But about 4 years ago, starting my business career, I realized that some of the top talent in this area was moving away, and they're moving a lot, and that had to stop. So had to figure out what are the things that need to go on to kind of keep those people in town. And so for the last 4 years, those are the programs and events that we've put together to try and keep our top talent here and kind of put our region on the map. So for the past 3 years, we saw that there was a ton of events going on in town, not just this and not just Hatch events, but plenty of events that several different people and organizations were putting on. So we said, how can we take all of that information and do all the work ourselves, but put it on our own calendar? And so constantly we're adding to the calendar. This was taken a couple of days ago of this upcoming month. And then once a week, we send out an email to our list of people in the region and say, here are the top events in entrepreneurship and innovation in our region that we think you should go to. It's not a list of every single event, because there are calendars that do that, and there's some really bad events in there that we don't think are going to help grow your company. But the events that we put on your list will help you do that, and that's why we produce that calendar. And like I said, we've been doing that for a long time. If you just go to our website and then to the calendar, you can get that information. And so several of the meetups and organizations in town are here tonight, and we'll go over some of those a little bit later. And for those of you who don't know, we started a little thing about 3 years ago called Start Norfolk, which really kind of started this whole startup community swing, and we're stoked to be here. This event is not possible without our partners and sponsors. Dominion Enterprises, thank you guys so much. Virginia Natural Gas, I think I saw Donald on Twitter tweeting me about 20 times today. He might still be in Las Vegas. Thank you to them. SBDC, Jim Carroll and team, awesome work there. CWM, Crenshaw, Ware, and Martin, saw a good team of you guys here. Thank you guys for being here. Pierce McCoy, City of Norfolk Economic Development, John Rich Media for all of your website needs. Some sponsors pay a little bit more to say what you want them to say. I'm just kidding. Opportunity Inc. And for those of you who have had one too many beverages tonight, feel free to use Apicab tonight and any night, which is the local company that can bring a cab to you. Some really great stuff from them. So I'm going to try mic 2 out and see if it works. So you see this shirt. and this is a really serious thing. What is no whale hunting? Well, typically, there are a lot of economic development companies or governments that go out and try to recruit large companies back to your area. So that's like trying to say that someone in EDA in our region should go and try and recruit Dell here or Google. We'll call that whale hunting. And so we are of the opinion that we should stop whale hunting and have no whale hunting, and in return should try and homegrown our own companies and small businesses here so that we can champion those businesses, and that's why we're all here tonight. So the whole goal for tonight is to show you guys how to champion our own homegrown businesses. So if you guys believe in that, as crazy as it may seem, please tweet or Facebook or whatever you guys are using, the young kids these days. Brett, I see your son. I don't know what he's using. But no whale hunting, that's a really serious thing, so that we can take the awesome companies that we've seen, not only in the last few years here, but forever, actually get the notoriety and the attention that they deserve, all right here in our region. It's not about home runs, it's about singles. And so, if any of you guys saw my TED Talk this past summer, I was going over my slides with a couple of people this week, and someone was like, "Is Beyonce gonna make a comeback tour?" I said, I don't think so. But then I got to thinking, I was like, that was a pretty exciting slide when it happened. Maybe I should bring it back. So the goal is to focus on singles instead of trying to hit home runs. Because if all you do is try and recruit these big companies or try and create the biggest companies in our region, we are going to fail miserably. And instead, focus on the singles. Focus on growing our single companies. So, what we found when pulling a lot of data and learning about our region, and when we talk about the region, we're talking about from Williamsburg all the way down to Virginia Beach and over to Franklin, kind of what the entire MSA uses us as 1.7 million people. And so we learned some really interesting things, and we found that there is a ton of really, really big accolades that we're receiving from some really big companies. Facebook, I think some of you have heard of that, has named Virginia Beach the fittest city in America. But what do we do as an area to really embrace that and really push that? That's something that's missing. Entrepreneur named Norfolk a top 5 city in America for entrepreneurs in 2013. NerdWallet said that Norfolk is the second best city to have a dog in. It's important for some of us young folks. And if you see the map in the back, my dog Ashbrook had to make a cameo, of course, and he's the dog that we used. Forbes has said that this is a top 10 metro for millennials and one of the hardest working cities in America, 4th best city for employee satisfaction, and 6th happiest city in the world. And for all of you hipsters, this zip code is the 3rd most hipster area in the country. Laugh or not, these are serious things and things that we can build off of. These are the platforms that other people are already looking at us as, and how do we embrace those to really grow our economy and our area off of. So if you'll see, and we're going to send this map out to everyone that attended, there's a couple in the back, and big props to Dave Ritt, wherever he is, for producing this right in the back. Produced this graph of the region, some top areas, some top awards, and it's really unique, and we think it's something that can really showcase us and that we can embrace and around. So we collected a little bit of data from the cities. Our initial goal was to collect all of the businesses started in the 10 cities, 6 counties, and 1 town in our region. And so for the last 4 months, we've been trying to collect data from these cities, and only 5 returned information. So we don't really know why. And Virginia Beach only gave us 2014 data. But if you look at this, so for the 2012 and 2013, that's Norfolk, Chesapeake, Hampton, Newport News businesses started. And then if you look in 2014 without Virginia Beach, it's actually gone down, and in Virginia Beach, it raises that up. So actually, we're kind of at a decline this year, and we have no other data from the other cities because they would not provide that information to us. Maybe there's a reason why. We don't know. We asked for it several times in several different mediums. But this is the baseline that we were able to collect and say, okay, in 2013, the number is 4755. In 2014, it's 6679. If we want to grow, we need to be at 6680 next year. That's it. 6880. Sorry. You know, you get older. And so this is the second half of that graph, and we're going to go over several of the programs and events and meetups and some really exciting stuff that's gone on in our region in the last few years, and then some of the key startups that are really going to take it to the next level. And so thank you again to Dave and to Miriam, who I don't know if I've seen her tonight, but helped collect all this data for weeks and weeks and weeks to really say, this is our region, and we need to champion that. And I'm going to talk about that word a lot tonight, champion, because we need to champion our businesses. So some of the programs that are going on in town, Hatch this past summer launched a 1004 program, which is actively trying to launch and grow 1,004 employee companies. And we do that, thank you, several of those companies are in here tonight. We do that by having a once-a-week half-day at Hatch where we bring in those companies and really help them with mentorship and workshops and really grow their businesses that way. And so we're trying to grow 1,004 employee companies this year. That's bold, but if you don't set goals, you're not going to hit it. 1,004 employee companies, that's what we're trying to do. And so we'll either get really close, not get close, but have fun. But it's an awesome program, and we're super stoked about it. And then our local Chamber of Commerce, along with the SBDC, is launching in March a Propel program based around mentorship boot camp that is based off of a program in Knoxville, and Hatch has been helping them out. It's a really cool program, and it's seen a huge return in the Knoxville region of something like $90 million of economic return. So several of us went out to Knoxville this summer, looked at the program, and we're excited, or the Propel program is doing that, partnering with EO as well, entrepreneur organization, and that launches in March. And so we're going to talk about a lot of stuff, and I know that you guys are probably like, whoa, that's crazy, you know, all this stuff. We're going to take all this, and it's going to be online so that you guys can find it in an easy way so that you can say, okay, these were the programs that Zack was talking about. Now you can click it and go directly to that link, so that the goal is that there's a one-stop shop for the best programs, events, meetups, calendar, whatever in town, so that that's where you have to go if you want to learn or grow your business. So the meetup market, I guess, has really grown a lot in our region in the last 4 years. Several years ago, there wasn't a ton of meetups, but now we're seeing meetups almost every single night of the week. I remember having a conversation with Kevin Curry of Threescape. Nice plug. Remember money? No, I'm kidding. Of Threescape at the First Start Norfolk, and I was like, yeah, you know, right now we can handpick our events. You can do what you want. He goes, wait till the day when there's going to be multiple events on one day, and you're not going to know what to do. And I think we're at that point now. If you go to the calendar, there's several days where you have to pick what event you want to go to. So in the past 4 years, these events have launched. Some of them are meeting weekly. Some of them are meeting monthly. But really the educational piece by the people, for the people type of movement. And it's really exciting stuff. We've seen some amazing applications created by the Code for Hampton Roads team, led by several of you in here. And what's really interesting is they take open public data that is from individual cities, and they build applications that the public can actually use. So if you've ever tried to look at the data that cities will give you, we know what it looks like now. It's really ugly. You can't read it. So they take that stuff and then build applications around it. And they've built stuff like the HRTB.us app, which allows you to track where the trains are or the buses are at any given time, and they do that from volunteer time. They meet at Hatch every Wednesday. They partner with HRT 3 years ago and have been ongoing this process for several years, and it's a great thing. A lot of users doing it, and it's stuff like that. You know, how can we build applications, and how can we see meetups like this really make a change in our region. And so, like I said, you'll be able to find all these meetups and more on the page that we've produced for this. And some of them are actually going to happen this weekend, like the Makerspace Cadets meetup. So meetups are something that are kind of a recurring event that happens once a week, maybe once a month, maybe once a quarter. And then there's events that typically have a lot of people, more than 10, 20, 30, something like this, where there's hundreds of people, and people come together to learn and educate themselves, or maybe start a product. And so these are some of the top events in the region. Hack U from Dominion, they're doing one 3 or 4 times a year. Some really great stuff there. Start Norfolk and Start Peninsula. The Build a Company in a Weekend competition. We'll go into those two in a minute. The Maker Fair, which took a year off, but one of the coolest events you'll ever see. It's basically 300 people that have built things in their garage or at the Makerspace or have companies around it, and they showcase it. And then we've done that, they did that at the Scope for 2 years. Ignite has done 3 of them. ICE launched this past summer, and then TEDx Hampton Roads was this past year as well. And so we have a ton of events that are based around entrepreneurship and innovation, and these are a way for a lot of people to come together and learn and grow and build from. Anyone tweeting, by the way? No whale hunting? Thank you. I haven't felt my phone. So we started Start Norfolk in 2011, November. We did 2 of them, and then on the peninsula, they had started theirs in 2012 as well. And so this past year, I believe in 2014, if my dates are right, it might be 2013. 2013? 2014, October. But your event before was that. So the event was in the last 18 months. So they had Start Peninsula. It was a great event. And from that, 2 of the finalists went on to go to individual events from a media company called Tech Cocktail, which is basically something like a Fortune magazine or a Forbes, but really localized to specific cities. And they had regional events in DC and Baltimore, and 2 of the companies from Start Peninsula went on to do very well at those events and were invited to go to Las Vegas, Nevada this past October. And one of them actually, his energy, won the event as the hottest startup by Tech Cocktail. How many of you guys actually knew that happened? So when we talk about championing business, these are the type of things that if we want big businesses to grow, we have to start promoting these things. We can't just say, what if? Actually, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But that's a company that won, yet no one's talking about. Then we had a company at Start Norfolk. It was Kristen, myself, and 7 others riding up to DC to go to CIT, the Center for Innovative's Top 50 Entrepreneurs in Virginia Award, by which 4 people from our region won, which was awesome, yet not a lot of championing of that. Again, if we want to be noticed, we need to champion the things that we do well at. So 4 people locally received that award as top entrepreneur in Virginia. Glenn wasn't one of them, that's okay, but on the ride up there, he pitched an idea to the 7 or 8 of us in the car, and basically it's 7 cups of tea. So then 3 months later, he goes to Start Norfolk, pitches there, does well, gets 2nd place. He then applies to the top accelerators in the world, Techstars, Y Combinator. If you're not familiar with Y Combinator, which he ended up going to San Francisco for the summer to do, Y Combinator has companies in their portfolio like Airbnb, Reddit, Dropbox, Stripe, and Discuss. So if you aren't familiar with those, they're billion-dollar companies. And so in our backyard, a company that went to one of our events went out to Y Combinator and participated in a program that did that. Now he's back home, 6+ employees, media like crazy, $1 million plus raised. But no one's talking about him. You know, I hear this all the time. If only we had a company that brought in outside capital, that was really cool, that was doing awesome stuff, that had notoriety, was in the tech sector. Everything would be so perfect. We have them. We're doing a bad job of telling the story. That's why we're here tonight, so we can learn about the best things that have happened so that we can embrace that culture and really push it. Heck, if we don't want to do it, we can all just leave. If we don't want to champion business and we want to be okay with what's happened, that's fine. But my guess is you guys are here because you support small business and you want these things to happen. So when they happen, we need to talk about them. Tomorrow, I want you guys to go and tell people what happened at the event. Tweet about it tonight. Tell people things are going on here. Homes.com is based in that building right there, and no one talks about it. What else do we need to do? We have a partner with Amazon. They get a new employee. They call him up, and he says, "Who is at 150 Granby Street? They're taking up all of our servers." It's DE. We have things here, but we are not championing businesses the way that we should, even though we talk about everything would be so perfect if. The if is now. It's when. Am I doing good, Chuck? I've seen you this passionate before. So, we learned, we did a lot of studying for this, and we learned that in 2008, Entrepreneur magazine named our region the best city for small businesses, or a collection of best cities for small businesses. And so that was interesting because the reason we were looking for this is because in 2013, Norfolk was named the best city for entrepreneurs, and we typed that and we found out, wow, that's really interesting. In 2008, we won the same thing. Who's talking about it? Let's not talk about how, if just this happens, they are happening. We're getting notoriety in some of the top things. How many of you guys know about Shark Tank? 3 companies locally have been on Shark Tank: Define Bottle, Kazam, and Mango Mango, all doing very well locally. 2 of them raised money from the sharks. But we still are not championing those businesses the way that we should, but they're doing it nationally for us. So big ups to them. If there's one big change in this region over the last few years, it's got to be the maker movement. People are making everything. Makers, you see them out there, 3D printers. Bo Turner is wearing it. Tons of companies on here, we don't have to name them all. But people that make things, that's the maker movement. And maybe the biggest change of all is Senate Bill 604. So when we talk about championing businesses, the microbrewery push might be it. Think about this. Our region is the home to the largest the Navy base in the world. Veterans Day is November 11th. How big is our Veterans Day parade here? 42% of our economy is based on the military, and we have one of the worst Veterans Day parades in the world. If we don't champion our biggest asset, we have to start somewhere. And it might be Senate Bill number 604. So if you're not familiar, a few years ago, those who have breweries, they are now able to allow people to consume alcohol on premise, which allowed people to not just have microbreweries, but have serendipitous meeting spots where a lot of things can happen, where the mayor of your city and employee number 30 can just randomly drink beers together and learn from each other. It became the new coffee shop, because now you can have a beer in a location. So the local brewery movement has been huge as well, and we're seeing more and more breweries pop up all the time. I believe the number right now in Virginia alone is 100 breweries have been started or have launched in Virginia, and several of which are here in our region. And of course, we had to have local beer tonight. Thank you to Smartmouth and O'Connor's for that. And remember, Apicab is the way that you get home. So I'm sure a lot of you guys go through lists, though, and find out that we're not on a lot of lists. And so I'd say we get on about 10 to 15% of lists, and that's awesome. But there are some cities that are on lists all the time because they're really pushing it. Stuff like Forbes in 2014, the top cities list, the Business Insider top 15 hottest American cities in 2015. And Virginia alone has dropped 4 spots, from 1 to 4, in Forbes top states for business. So we're dropping. And how is Utah? Utah is the #1 state in the country for business. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, when you look at what we have in this, not just region, but this state, maybe it's taxes. All right, so when we were collecting data, we collected data from individual companies, and we asked them about their size of the company, employees, but most importantly, we looked at how much money are you making this year, and it was a very broad range, under 100,000, 100,000 to 500,000, 500,000 to $1 million, and then like $1 million up. And so we wanted to categorize those type of companies, and then we asked them, what's missing in our region? Any guesses of what they said?
Mountains.
We have Mount Trashmore. Transportation. But you can't sled down it. All right, so there was 2 themes that continued. Cost-effective space. I was shocked at this, to be honest. So what we did was we collected all the information of places where you can go and work out of. That anywhere from $100 to maybe $500 a month, you can work out of one of these spaces. Whether they're an incubator or co-working space, they're a place where you can get cost-effective business space. And so if you're thinking about this tomorrow and you're like, man, I don't want to buy a place just to run my business out of, maybe you can use one of these spaces, and we'll have a list of those as well. And the Technology Business and Innovation Center is opening in Williamsburg, I think. Tim? Where are you, Tim? Is that right, Williamsburg? Has opened, and they're looking for an even bigger space now as well. So 757 Crave Space, about 2 blocks that way, and several other spaces as well. Tech Center up in Newport News that is launching, I guess by summer, if things go well. And all the way out to Franklin, they have 40,000 square feet of incubator space. So again, when we see this, we wonder why that is coming up. Why are people saying cost-effective space is not the thing? Well, the answer cannot be I can't find it now. Right? The other thing was funding, and we thought people were going to say this. And so funding is a thing that a lot of people like to talk about. So what we decided to do was go to the best online portal for funding your business called AngelList. It's an online cloud-based funding platform where you can basically put your company up and say, I'm looking to raise X dollars in return for X percentage of my company. They do something like $50 million worth of investments a month. $50 million a month. And so when people say, well, if I just need to move to San Francisco to get funding, or I need to move to DC or Raleigh-Durham, no, you don't. You have online platforms there. So what we did was we took this information from all the cities in the region, and we looked at them. And to be honest, we have one of the worst portfolio of companies on here on AngelList. Very few people are using it. We found one company that actually has a pretty thorough application, if you will, and that was Feedback Golf. One out of only a couple hundred, really, because most people aren't using this. So if you're looking for funding and you have a company that people want to invest in, angel.co is it. 8 characters. That's it. You put your portfolio up there, you tell about your business, and if someone likes you, you can get funding from it. And so there was probably 150 companies in our region that were on there, and like I said, only one had a pretty thorough portfolio or profile on there. So if funding is the issue, there are resources that maybe our region doesn't have, but there are places outside of our region that are definitely investing in things. So traditional education. We actually have a ton of schools here. This, I think, may be the craziest data point of the entire presentation. We have 112,000 students here. How big is the city of Portsmouth? 90,000 people? There are more students in this region than the city of Portsmouth. I don't think a lot of them are staying here, remember. So what are we doing to try and give them the opportunities to stay here? This past year, a generous man from California who once went to Old Dominion University by the name of Mark Strom invested $11 million in ODU's Strom Center for Entrepreneurship. They just recently got their new director, Nancy Gearden, who is awesome if you haven't met her yet. She helped grow Amerigroup as well as Genomind and several other companies as well. And they're in great hands, are active right now. They have a center about the size of this room. They meet constantly, mentorship, workshops. They met today during lunch hour or whatever they're calling it in college now. But the opportunities are here, and $11 million is a ton of money. And so for the Strom Center alone, it's only for students, but ODU and several other universities are building opportunities for the universities to work with the actual business community. And then there's non-institutional education. Programs and companies like Norfolk Fair Trade, probably right below us, or to the left a little bit. Hatch, got to get my plug in there too, right? And then 757 Makerspace, Bo Turner in the back helped get you guys signed in today. If you guys haven't been over to any of these spaces, I thoroughly recommend you checking them out as they're opportunities for you to learn new trades at a very low cost to do these things. Again, champion business. Freddie Mercury. We are the champions. I love music if you didn't know that. So we looked at other communities and we started seeing something. So we were looking at businesses in specific communities all across the country. We looked at Richmond, we looked at DC, we looked at Raleigh-Durham, and other areas across the country as well. And what we found was that the majority of them seemed to be inside of a beltway, an infrastructure of a full beltway. And so we pulled out the Google map and we said, this is weird, we got to see if this is true. And so we started looking at other different cities, Columbus Beltway, Cincinnati Beltway, Indianapolis Beltway. The majority of growth in these big industries has been in the Beltway. Shocker number one, we have a Beltway. But a lot of our development is not inside that Beltway. So if we're looking at other regions that are doing very well, and their growth is inside where density is important, and we have that infrastructure as well, why are we not focused on creating a more dense business community? I'm not a developer, but it looks like these other communities are doing pretty well and we've heard of them. Maybe we should investigate this Beltway theory a little. And finally, so the name of the event is the Norfolk-Virginia Beach Inaugural State of the Startup Community Address. So we decided to investigate Hampton Roads, Coastal Virginia, that's the new hot one, Tidewater, the age-old wonder that it is. Sorry, Chuck. And the 757, which is the area code that our area uses for phones. Quick question. Boulder, Colorado's area code, Cincinnati's area code, Raleigh's area code, Austin. Okay, you get my point. Basically, no one knows them. So why would we try and call an area from an external opportunity if you don't even know the top 5 biggest, San Francisco, LA, New York? You might know them, probably not. Why would we try and call our region a name if you don't even know the top 5 major metros in the country zip codes? It doesn't make sense. So we decided to put the data into this website called Google, the #1 site in the world. So the idea was we're going to put this data in of those names, the regional monikers, and then each city's name. And so This is the real data. We didn't mess with anything. So the bottom three are the regional monikers, and the top two is Norfolk and Virginia Beach. So the way people are using our names and the way that people are searching on the world's #1 search engine is Norfolk and Virginia Beach, and everything else is really low. I didn't mess with this map. We didn't make this look like we were making a ton of money. No, this is it. This is the way that Google produced it, right? So when people talk about what should we call our region, the facts are the facts. Externally, this is how the world sees us. Let's stop trying to come up with these other names because it's hurting us. We must think externally, not internally. This is our region. That's important. But how does the rest of the world see us? And remember, to tie this all together, Facebook named Virginia Beach the #1 fittest city in the country. Facebook, which is probably the #2 most active website in the world. So #1, Google told us what to do, and #2, Facebook told us what to do. Yet when people talk about fitness industry in this region, they laugh. Embrace the opportunities. J&A Fitness, if you haven't seen, are putting on a ton of running events in our region and are doing well and are starting to do them in other places as well. Let's not lie about the data. The data is in front of us. Logistics. We have the deepest port in the region, or in the country. Tourism. So this is what's interesting. We got a lot of military, right? Maybe what we could do is take that Veterans Day parade and bring a lot of people in here that are active and veterans. And then what's interesting is from a tourism standpoint, maybe there's things with military that could be with health and fitness. See how we're leveraging the things that we already are doing and have? And then that last number, 112,000 college students. I don't know what to do with that. But that's a ton of talent. When we talk about if we just had the talent, that's a lot of people that are looking to learn. So let's not laugh about certain things. Let's embrace what we have. And when we see them and when the data is there, let's try and work with it. That's all I got. Questions? Oh, slideshow for download.